Good afternoon, everybody. Once again for the Sunset Safari. We are here in Kenya and we're in the Greater Mara Reserve and we're watching the Five Musketeers. And we've gone straight into it, folks. Please don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. My name is Ralph Kirsten and we've got Craig on the camera. This is all exciting. It's started up, folks. We're going to be trying to make our way just round the back of this lugger in a minute, but they're all lined up. They're ready to hunt. We've been with them most of the afternoon. So you've hit us just at the right time and we just need to try and anticipate what these cheetah are going to do. So it seems there's a lot of eland on the other side of the plain there. I think that's probably one step too far for these cheetah. And now it does seem like they've maybe realized that, with one of them going for a little drink. Wow, that's all excitement to start the show, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is 100% live, and that was perfect timing. As they spotted those, I think it was the eland on the other side. We were coming to you just at that very moment. It's been wonderful to be around them, but it was literally just a little after 3 o'clock that they decided to all wake up. They were all fast asleep in the shade, and we got to have our little relaxing time with them. It was a very nice afternoon, I can say that. But they've continued along the same vein as this morning, where they are looking like they want to hunt, and now that it's starting to cool down a bit, I think we might have a bit of a better chance than during midday. And there is some prey species around, but they do need to make their approach before any of them realize that they're coming, because they've been giving themselves away pretty early for the time being, and they haven't been able to surprise anything just yet. But it looks all very ominous. I think as soon as they see an animal that is not that aware, I think then one of them's going to start the chase, and then it could get very interesting. So this is wonderful to watch. Now folks, I think I'm going to be relocating. I think we're going to relocate to the other side of this lugger, because once this chase starts, if we're not in the right position, it's going to be too little, too late. But while we're doing that, let's hedge on over to Taylor, all the way on the other side of the river, and see how she's getting on.
Well, it's also an ominous day. As you can see, it's very gloomy, and we have had a little bit of rain, and there seems to be a cloud that looks like it is bringing about a bit of rain. But who knows what else we might see today. We'll see what this weather brings. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Adrian. Remember, this is a live and interactive safari, so you can talk to us. Hashtag Safari Live, or you can talk to us on the YouTube chat. Now, we've been out for most of the day, well, for the entire day. We've had lots of lion luck. We've seen lions all over, but unfortunately, the ones we had earlier were fast asleep. And then we did find some of the paradise pride too. But unfortunately, they went into an area where we can't get to. It's a non-off-roading area. But I wonder if Scar is around there too. They're all in this thicket. Oh goodness, that was double whammy with the flies. So even down on the border today, it was quite quiet. No cheetah, didn't see much. Lots of buffalo, lots of zebra. In fact, and topi, but no big cats like we wanted to see. A couple of hyena dotted around, as you normally do see. I think our best option is to maybe head towards the marsh and, well, hopefully spend some time with elephants, and then maybe we get to see some lions a little bit later. The marsh breakaways, and then I believe the Angamas have made a kill near the Olololo gate. So we can go and have a scratch around there. I think that's going to be the plan. But unfortunately, we're still quite far away from the marsh. We're only just around, or approaching Hippo Pools. We've got a little bit of a journey to go before we get there. And it's quiet out here. We drove all around these areas. We checked the hyena den. No one was home. That big one that Ralph likes to go to. Right, so we'll try find some more lions, and hopefully lions that are doing something, seeing as though it's cooled down quite a bit. Ralph, however, has got cheetah that are not sleeping.
Look. Yes, everybody, we've just managed to get round the other side of the lugger, and we're still just trying to see exactly where these cheetah are, but they are just on the other side, and so we need to wait a little bit for them to come across. But for now, they're still peeking through onto this other side of the plain here. There's nothing just right next to us or near to them, but there are a couple of taupi up off in the distance. I don't know if Craig will be able to see them. Now, Kate, you're wondering if the musketeers are all litter mates and how long they're going to stay together. Well, Kate, it's hard to tell. I'm pretty sure that there might be one or two of those of the males that are litter mates, but it's possible that they're all not, and they can all join together with the same common goal of obviously being able to bring down bigger prey and being able to hold on to a bigger territory if they stay together as a group. So it's normally generally similar aged males, but not always of the same litter, and they could stay together like this for many a year. It all depends on what might separate them. Maybe a female, maybe over food. They can have a bit of quarrels and tiffs and so on. And so it all depends. But it looks like they have a very strong bond for now. But for the moment, I think they're still trying to size up what's going on just over on the plain here. Because there are some taupi, as you were seeing just over there. But we've just come this side, because once they cross this lugger and we then start trying to catch up, that's not going to be great. So we'd rather anticipate and be on the right side to start with, and then we won't need to be racing once they're already at full flight, because it's almost impossible then to see anything. Now, Top Mod, you're wondering if we ever sleep in the shade while we're waiting for things like this to happen. Well, Top Mod, actually, we have quite a nicely arranged vehicle that we can rest up in. We have our snacks and things, so we do a full-on stakeout, and that's what we've been doing now for the second day in the row, with cheetah for the second day in the row. Different cheetah, different place, but same method. So I think we've been doing all right, don't you? Let's hope that these cheetah do break through this lugger quite soon. I think they do look like they might have been on the move just a little bit. But for the minute, we are trying to see them through the top of the lugger and the thicket there. But we will be waiting here for quite a while, I think, and then once they're through, then we're back to excitement. But that's a lovely base for them to come through and obviously have a little bit of a head start on some of the animals that are just on the other side of the plain there. So anything can happen from here. They can sometimes surprise you and they go into the lugger and they go to sleep, and other times they can go full out in the chase. Now, Emma, you're wondering if any of these cars ever interfere with the hunt. Yeah, Emma, they can do, but we all need to look out for each other and see that the other guys are not racing around too much, not pressing up too close behind the cheetah. And so we are also part of a team here, and we can, I suppose, also report each other for bad behavior. So everybody does try their best, but as I've said, these cheetah are quite used to the vehicles, so it doesn't generally change too much in their behavior. We just need to also have our manners about us as the guides and the drivers of the safari vehicles, as they're busy with their their daily business, and we're just really here to observe. So if we can just try and stay out of their way and make sure that we don't influence what happens, then I suppose there's not a problem with us being here. Obviously, there's also the pros and cons of having people and tourism in any particular area, but you've got to look at it on one side that it brings a lot of revenue. So the animals not necessarily having to sacrifice for these people to come in and bring that revenue for their particular protection. So it's at least a real big input from tourism, but we just try to get the guides, obviously, everybody working off the same page. And generally it's not too bad. Well, for the minute, I think I'm not sure if they just on the other side of the lugger. It's a little bit of a waiting game once again. This is how it works with cats, with cheetah, and you very often have the hurry up and wait syndrome. So, well, we've hurried up and now we're waiting. So, as we wait, I'd like to send you back on over to Taylor, because she's driving and maybe she's found something exciting.
I found some maintenance workers who are doing road maintenance. Does that count? I feel like, Ralph, the waiting game that you're playing is a waiting game that could pay off for the best. So good luck on your patience there, because I haven't got the greatest patience waiting for cats. Hello. So they've been doing a lot of road repairs on the main river road today. As you can imagine, there's lots and lots of cars driving up on it every single day. So it does get damaged quite often, and then they find themselves doing lots and lots of repairs, especially after all the rain that we had. It washed away a lot of the work that they'd done prior to it. It's a never-ending story, this road maintenance. What a nightmare. Like I always say, I'm glad that I don't have to do it anymore. As a guide, you kind of have to do road maintenance. I didn't enjoy it very much. I liked the bush clearing though, that was fun. But other than that, meh. Now, we haven't got much, unfortunately. There was a question, but I've completely forgotten it now. Megan told me ages ago, and I can't remember now. So, there was a question, and there is one, sorry, and it's from Jessica, and that is, am I afraid of anything? I think we all have a healthy respect for the animals, but afraid... I don't like buffalo and hippos on foot too much. Otherwise, I'm not really scared of too many things. Don't like spiders. Like jumping spiders, and that's the only kind of spider that I like. Look at the water buck just up ahead. But, yeah, no, I don't think I'm particularly scared of anything. Hello, water buck. Long time no see. Just jokes. I feel like I saw you about 20 minutes ago. Lots, not a big herd, but there's this one herd that hangs around here. Scarlett, you're wondering if I enjoyed my cappuccino this morning. No, I did not enjoy my cappuccino this morning because I didn't get to have one, unfortunately. I realized that Cutthroat Craig has got my bank card, and I didn't have any cash on hand, so I had to go without a cappuccino. So next time I'm out for a full day, although I'm going on leave soon, and then I'm going to drink so much coffee on the coast, it's not even funny. I'm only going to drink coffee, all the nice coffee. So it's okay. I think I can survive a few more days. Waterbuck, did you have your cappuccinos this morning? No, because you don't drink cappuccinos. That's why. They'll never get to have one. They'll never know how good it feels as you take your first sip. I sound like a real caffeine addict. Maybe. I might be. But they're very relaxed. Some of them still resting from the day. The others just slowly starting to wake up. It looks like they haven't really woken up just yet. I think they may have actually just got up. And they'll do a bit more grazing. And probably graze right into the night, in fact. What I have started noticing, and we always tell you this, a lot of the books that we reread have interesting information. And, of course, a lot of these guys who have gone out and created these books could have just created it from one particular area. We know that animal behavior changes from area to area. And I've read many, many times that zebra only graze during the day, or predominantly graze during the day. I beg to differ. After the camp zebra, they graze right through the entire night. It's as if they only wait to graze at night time around our tents, because they don't stop. You don't stop hearing. That's what you guys sound like too, Waterbuck. Don't give me the stink eye. They all turned back and looked at me when I made that noise. It's exactly what you all sound like. You're noisy eaters. But you guys don't come and bother us around our tents, so that's okay. But the zebra, on the other hand, are a little bit of a nightmare. And I did start to see some elephant dung too. Well, I saw some this morning, so we might have some elephants in camp tonight. The elephants are terrified of people. They trumpet when they see you. They're traumatized. But they give you a fright at night, of course. We do have a couple of waterbuck that come wandering around, but they're not as brave as the zebra. They don't quite come into camp. I haven't really noticed, out of most of the lodges that I've worked at, you don't normally see a huge gathering of waterbuck right on your front lawn like you do with zebra, impala, bushbuck and inyala, funny enough, as well as warthogs tend to be the culprits for hanging around lodges, pruning all the lovely bushes, eating all the nice watered lawns. It's their absolute favourite. Thank you, Waterbuck. We're going to carry on, though. I'm going to keep heading towards the marsh. We're going to take the scenic route to the marsh as well. We'll jump up on one of these roads that head back towards the Mara River, and then we'll drive. We don't really drive along the Mara River for very long, and carry on to the marsh. Go, Impala, go! Big leap. Shoo! No, that Impala did not do a big leap like I was hoping in front of the car. But something else that could take off in a speed and give that Impala a run for its money is the cheetah, and Ralph has managed to find them again.
Thanks, Taylor. Yes, here on the other side of the lugger, we've now got a lovely vantage point, and we've tried to anticipate to see where they're going to come through. So hopefully we've hit the right spot. We've got some prey species near to us as well, but for now they are just lying down a little bit with those vehicles quite close to them. But it's very nice. You can see from there to us, and then you can see from us across and over my head and shoulders, and over there we have quite a number of different animals that they could decide to have a go at. There's a few topi, there's some gazelle, and there's also some youngsters around if they feel like an easy meal. So it's just to paint the picture of what is being laid out in front of them. But that's wonderful that we at least have a very good chance. But now it seems they've laid down again, and there's one or two of them getting up every now and then. We just need to be a little bit patient and see how this unfolds. Seems that I'm not sure if it's the same one, but it does seem like there is a bit of a leader, and I've been thinking it's the same one, but I just need to double check each time. It seems like there's one of them. Now, Emma, that was probably going towards what you answered. If the musketeers have a leader, I'm pretty sure that there will be one of them that does initiate quite regularly with the hunts, and can also be a leader. So I'm just trying to work this out. It's only the second time that I've been with them, so I do like to see for myself and just try and work it out. And then once I've been with them a little bit and sort of understand their mix between each other, then it's nice to approach everybody else and get the dynamics, and it's just nice to learn it a little bit and just feel their behavior between each other first, and then try and make some assumptions from that, and then test it with what other people that have spent more time with them say. But they are definitely keen for a hunt. Who knows, they might also mark a little bit as they go through, but from the minute they got up at 3 o'clock, it does look like for now that they are thinking about their bellies. So that's good news for us, because we need to now sit and watch and wait. Once again, that's the name of the game with the cheetah, and we need to keep on playing it if we want to see all those exciting moments. Now, for now, there's not too many vehicles around, so it's not too bad. And still a little bit of a breeze, but the cheetah have been walking into it. Now, you've asked quite a good question. Are females faster than males because they're lighter? It's actually a fantastic question, but as far as I know from the rehabilitation centers that I've been to, both in Namibia and in South Africa, it seems like the males generally a little bit more power in them, and it can help a little bit more for the speed. Now, I could be wrong, because that's a very good question. I should actually find out which are faster for real, or in general, male or female. Philip, thank you for sending your comment in, saying that the last 2 speed records for cheetah were females. I wonder if that is then in general that females are faster. I've never even thought of that. I've always just watched the cheetah at speed, and we always speak about their top speed, but maybe once again, quite similar to that with the lions, the males forego a little bit of speed with that extra power. The same with the lions. They're also not quite as fast as the females because of that extra sort of shoulder mass and big mane and heavier bones, I would say, and bigger frame overall. And that's mostly to do with being strong enough to defend their territory and so on. But we've got 1 or 2 of them now just starting to break cover. So if we can pop on over there. So thank you for your comments, folks. That's wonderful. I need to find out in general. But if the land speed record is from a female, well, we'd have to say then the female is faster, because whether it's in general or not, if a female's made the fastest speed of all cheetah, then we'll have to stick with them, definitely. It does make sense with their sleekness, and I'm just pretty sure that obviously they might be a bit faster, but then they lose a little bit on the being able to take animals down, etc. But it can be great, especially if they make up a team, or if you have 5 of them and all males, they can potentially take on quite big prey. And it has been proven already. We see that there's quite a few of you that know about them hunting and killing wildebeest as well as topi adults. So this group of 5 is capable of a little bit more than you think. And it seems for the time being also taking down bigger prey than even for the lions, for instance, on the other side of the river in the triangle. They're mostly hunting warthogs. I think they're maybe getting a little bit lazy because they don't have their wildebeest and zebra on tap. So they're just taking the next best thing, which is your silly warthogs that aren't that difficult to catch and kill. Right, these guys have just gone down, so while we are waiting for them to maybe cross the plains, let's send you on over to Taylor, who's got one of those mammals with the best eyelashes in the wild.
The best eyelashes? A warthog? Maybe you were talking about the giraffe. Okay, we have them, but we're not going to talk about them right now. It was really interesting, though, when we first arrived. Unfortunately, the warthogs got a little bit of a fright, but the African sacred ibis and the hammerkop were following the warthogs around, and they're getting back in there again, trying to get everything that they're stirring up in this little marshy section. Now, I reckon this family of pigs have been here all day long. Combination of sitting and wallowing in the wet grass, and then of course that is such lovely lush grass. I don't think it must be the equivalent of eating microherbs when they eat green sprigs, all the new sprigs of grass that have pushed through. Even the black-headed heron is now getting involved and using the warthogs to try and flush out some prey. And it's amazing how these birds just adapt, and they go about, moving around animals that are a lot bigger than them, although the heron towers over the warthogs in terms of heights, and they're not afraid to move around the giraffe either, the feet of warthogs, buffalo, you name it. They'll cruise around and try and collect as many things as they can. And it's not just going to be insects that they're flushing out there. There could be little fish, could be little tilapia or some catfish of sorts, in some of the bigger pools, which there are a couple of bigger pools, there most certainly will be frogs. Bushy Budge, you said you really do like a warthog? Me too. I quite enjoy watching them. They are really, really cool creatures. I think a lot of people will say, though, that they prefer watching warthogs when lions are chasing after them. I like watching the little piglets when they suckle, when they're on their knees, moving around. They've grown up so quickly now. I can't believe it was just a few weeks ago that they were tiny little sausages. It's amazing how quickly they can grow. Oh, that heron did a leap over the warthog, which was quite cool, actually. That big warthog there, it leapfrogged it. No, leap-heroned it. Now, Tom, you've said that you've seen video footage of warthogs warding off wild dogs. Is it a common occurrence? Actually, warthogs chasing away predators in general happens more often than you can imagine. I've had numerous sightings of warthogs chasing leopards around, and young, inexperienced lions, and cheetah, and even hyenas could find themselves in a bit of trouble if they get too close to a warthog, especially a sow with piglets. My goodness, they're protective over their youngsters. They really, really are. And so you've got to be careful of these creatures. Even us as humans, we always talk about it, and it's good just to reiterate how dangerous these animals can actually be. Even a giraffe. Giraffe could quite easily kill you. Even a sub-adult giraffe that's not anywhere near 18 feet tall could do some serious damage. And that's why it is important to respect the animals and just keep your distance and remember that they are wild and they see us as a threat, and if you get too close or you corner them, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble, and you'll be surprised. I mean, even to an extent, something like a lapwing, a crowned lapwing, could really hurt if it was bomb diving on top of you. I've told you the story of how many times I've been bomb dived going out on rides to the hunt tracks and then to the beach with my horses, trying to keep them nice and fit. And they would even harass us. Obviously, we were getting too close to their eggs. Couldn't see their eggs from the top of a horse. I wouldn't even be able to spot their eggs if I'd just be walking. They're so well camouflaged. But they don't like that indeed. But that's a nice little variety, and that's something that we're very privileged to see a lot of in the Mara. Is not just one species, but many species in such close quarters. And I think it's a nice reminder just how well animals can live together, whether they are feeding on flesh, whether they're eating grass or insects or leaves, whatever it may be. They all seem to get along fairly well. And even this morning, watching the lions around the elephants barely paid any attention to those predators. Now, I just want to go up a little bit further forward because there was a pied kingfisher flying around. I don't know if I can see it anymore, but we've been seeing so many kingfishers lately. I thought it would be another nice one to add to the list, and that's the black and white kingfisher that we see. Let's see, I can see a great white heron. Every time I say that, I think I'm going to say shark. Great white shark. Oh no, I think our kingfisher has gone. And our black herons are not here anymore. Get a nice close view of this egret. They're very tall birds. They're so elegant too, and quite easy to tell the difference between cattle egrets just by their size. Otherwise they look fairly similar. And just out fishing. Now all those ripples on the water that you can see around that egret. Oh, got something like a little frog of sorts. Those will be insects on the surface of the water. You can see lots of dragonflies. They'll be hovering around too, trying to catch some of those insects. Let's see if it gets something else. I'm almost sure that it'll be catching frogs, especially if it's fishing right close next to the grass and all those plants. The frogs like to sit on top of them. If they're just out in the open on the water, they're also quite exposed. So they need a little bit of assistance to try and camouflage themselves, which is one of their most basic defense mechanisms. Let's see, looks like it wants to strike again. Moving very, very slowly through that water, not making too many splashes. A few ripples, but those are inevitable. Oh, that wasn't much of a spear. Serves you right. You put zero effort into that. Also, striking beak. Oh, so yesterday I got some assistance with regards to how long a Goliath heron's beak is, and I think it was 23 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken. Now, a great white egret is nowhere near the size of a Goliath heron, so I'm going to guess at what size their beak is. I don't have that information at hand. I'll have to put it into the interweb. I'm going to go with about 15 or 16 centimeters at least, that bill. And it's so sharp. I wouldn't like to be pecked by one of them. I think it would hurt. You're not going to catch anything else for us. Ladybird, you said it's so cool watching the birds fish. They're so clever. They do. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of patience for them to be successful. And I suppose it's a bit like when lions hunt. Every time they strike the ground, we've just seen it strike twice and miss. There we go. A little frog. I caught that one that time. I wonder if they're the little cacos. So it's not as easy as we think. Of course, with birds and their hunting techniques, or with the predators and their hunting techniques too. It is quite a nice little pad. Look, there it is. I have to show you very quickly. There's the pied kingfisher, pretty much in front, just to the left of the giraffe. You can see it hovering at the moment. There we go. Nice, there we go. That's what we wanted to see. Now, I'll just tell you very quickly. They use a different type of fishing technique in comparison to the malachite kingfisher that we have been seeing, that will sit from a perch and then fly down and try and get something, either insects on the surface of the water, oh, there we go, or frogs or fish or anything like that, whereas the pied kingfisher hovers. And unlike the other kingfisher species, they might use the wind to hover, but this is a true hovering bird. So it very rarely fishes from a perch. Almost thought it was going to land on that giraffe's head. Okay, well, that was very nice to see the pied kingfisher. We got it on our list. Ralph, however, has got an exceptional view across the river of the cheetah.
Yes, and an exceptional view it is. It is absolutely beautiful, with these 5 males making their way across the plain. Are they going to hunt, or are they merely going to mark their territory? Well, it seems like they have had the interest to hunt, so we're holding thumbs. But how pretty is that? Absolutely stunning. All in a row. And one straggler, as usual it seems, D'Artagnan hanging at the back, but the 4 there in a lovely line. And they're keeping their heads up and looking around. There are some topi on the plain in front of them, and they've sort of angled a little bit across, slightly into but across the wind. So they keep on making their way towards the topi on the other side. And we'll let them go off a little bit, and then once again we're going to be leapfrogging. And that's what we've been doing quite a bit. Wow, that's wonderful to see, hey? Now, chat noir, you're wondering what causes the discoloration of the cat's teeth? Well, it's pretty much like any dental type teeth. I think it's made of the exact same material like the elephant's tusks, the same as warthog tusks as well. But the problem is that's inside a mouth cavity where there's a lot of bacteria, and obviously cats and animals like that, they don't have a lovely toothbrush that they can clean their teeth, so it gets quite easily discolored. And that's why it's quite good for them to chew on bones and branches even. It does help to keep them their pearly whites, but they do get a bit discolored from all the food that they eat and the bacteria and plaque build-up. So there's all sorts, and they're not washing them. They don't have Listerine or whatever kind of mouthwashes that we use. Theirs is sort of either self-cleaning or a little bit of build-up that they do get. Some worse than others. There's a little bit more concentration going on there. Look how they start to move in unison, hey? They are still really on the lookout. So I can't let them get too far ahead before I need to leapfrog. So in a little bit, I do need to just shoot ahead because of that concentration there like that. We don't want to miss out. So I think it's just about time for us to head on out. Okay, let's try keep up with them. We're not keeping up with them. We're actually getting ahead of them. So we quickly need to just keep this up, because there's every chance oh, one of them started to run. Okay, I just need to pick up a bit of pace here, folks, so I can get into position. They've gone down. I think they have spotted this topi, and I think that's what they've now decided they might be going for. Right, so we're just going to try and get onto the opposite side here. Okay folks, sorry, I'm just looking for the best position to be in. And then we're just going to sit and wait for them. I think that topi has spotted them, however, but they might be after something else. You never know. They might also just try and distract that topi a little bit. But for now they've started to walk again, so it's not imminent just yet. They are, however, you see, this morning when we spotted them, I did think that they were looking a little bit fat, so I wasn't sure if they were going to be hunting. But then there are some gazelle running towards them. I don't know if they've noticed them. So just need to watch these cheetah and see how they react now. See, sometimes going down a little bit. I'm sure that those gazelle have spotted the cheetah. Surely, yeah. There they go. And you can see there, sometimes when one of the cheetah goes ahead, if he's not the leader, he can actually be looking behind, waiting for the leader to come and show them the way. And sometimes maybe the leader's gone off for a drink of water, and then it almost disjoints them a little bit. They almost then need to wait for him and then follow. But I'm not quite sure exactly which one it is, because they, except for D'Artagnan, for the time being, they all look the same to me. So I'm just trying to work them out by spending some time with them. But now, Lisa and Matt, you're saying that these guys walking in the Mara look like a gang of trouble. Absolutely. I think, well, especially if you're a gazelle or a topi or any kind of prey species walking out around here, you don't want to be seeing these 5 guys coming towards you. You're going to have to get yourself out of there in a hurry, as a few of these topi have done. And the gazelle, but there you see now one breaking off from the rest. I'm not sure who that is. I wonder if that's... Is it D'Artagnan? No, it isn't. One going a different way. Maybe he's doing a bit of a flank, getting around this game. Now, Francis in Israel, you're wondering if this will be my first cheetah kill, if this pans out. No, Francis, the last time we came across the river here was the first time I had a couple of kills in the Masai Mara. I have had many kills before, but just not here. But last week we had 2 cheetah kills in 2 days. We had one catching, it was that other male that with the collar on, so not Dachtegnon, but another male, Dohari, and he caught a young female bushbuck in the thickets. And then we had Miale and her son, which killed a young topi. And so if this happens, it would be my 3rd. But very lucky indeed, having had 2 kills in 2 days the last time we were here. And now I'm hoping for some little bit of the same from these guys. But I'd like to see them go for something a little bit bigger, because they are capable. So that's what I'm hoping for. But I suppose beggars can't be choosers, and we'll take whatever we can get. And we obviously we're on their beck and call, because we just need to see what they decide from here on out. Look at that sleek body, a very long body, obviously extended spine assists with the speed. Now, Jason, you're saying that you like the way I say D'Artagnan, and I know it's a French word. I might not be saying it 100% correct, but I do speak a bit of French, so, I can converse, and maybe one day I'll do a full game drive in French, if that's an interest of anybody. But for now, we just need to concentrate on these cheetah, which is guépard in French, and a very fast animal indeed, and that's what we're hoping we're going to see them at full flight, hopefully trying to take down a topi, which is also very fast, or even a gazelle. They're not quite as fast as a topi, but they've got the agility, because they're so small. They can obviously change direction quite quickly, and so it's also very interesting to see. They've got to be a lot more agile to catch a gazelle, but a bit faster to catch a topi. So, and then it would take most likely all of them to be able to bring a topi down. But that would be well worth it, and would feed all of them for a few days, whereas a gazelle, they'd be fighting over it. So that's where it's important. Obviously, it's great to have a coalition of big numbers, but then you've got to start catching animals that can feed everyone's bellies, because if you don't, you're going to have conflict, and that's when it becomes a problem in a coalition, and then you might have a split. So as long as things are going well, that's when the coalition is going to be working well too, and the bonds will be difficult to break. You see, maybe that was their decision with that other, I think it was Mowgli or Mugi, the other cheetah that it seemed attempted to join the coalition. Maybe they decided that was just one too much. And so maybe that was one too many mouths to feed, and they decided that 5 was the perfect number. But I'm going to now once again have to leapfrog, folks. So while we do that, let's send you on over to Taylor, who's coming to the cat party.
If only we got to play leapfrog with Cheetah when we were young. Hey, Rolf, wouldn't that have been a great game? Now, we've managed to find a lioness in the marsh, very, very, very far away, unfortunately, from any roads. She's right on the edge of the forest. I think we have solved a mystery. I think this is the other lioness that normally accompanies the one we saw on its own this morning after we watched the lion's attempt, or the marsh breakaway's attempt on a warthog. And these are the other 2 girls that are sometimes seen with that pride. And she's got a very full belly by the looks of it. So she's obviously managed to catch something. Sometimes they do split up and do their own thing. Even though they are like a small little breakaway pride, they don't necessarily spend all their time together. I've been seeing that more and more often. They don't mind spending some time on their own. Now, I haven't seen any suckle marks or anything like that, in case any of you are wondering if maybe she's pregnant. Maybe that's why she has been spending time on her own. Maybe she's given birth to some cubs somewhere. But I'm not sure. And it actually wouldn't surprise me if that other lioness wouldn't spend most of her time with her too, even though she was going off to a den site. That's something that I've seen before with the southern pride. As if they have had a friend to come with them to give birth, and then just spend the next few weeks, with the female that has given birth, which is quite interesting. But not, I don't, like I said, I don't know. Last time I saw them up close, I didn't notice any suckle marks, or they didn't look particularly fat. And that was a few days ago. I saw them walking off into the forest. So they've done a big trip, big loop since then. But I don't think she's going to go anywhere right now in terms of going off on a hunt. She looks like she's panting quite heavily. I don't know if she's maybe just eaten something there. Maybe she's caught a warthog during the day. We didn't drive this route this morning. And so I don't know if she's been here all day long. I wouldn't imagine she would have been sitting out in the open all day long. However, the sun did poke its head through the clouds, and it was quite hot. It was actually quite warm indeed. I got excited. At first I thought this was a male lion from the distance because she was so fat, but it's not. It's obviously a girl. But the others may just be in this tree line. I know the triangle boys, aka the Chitwa Tembo males, they also like it around here. So we might do a big loop around this entire forest before we go back towards where we left the marsh breakaways. And maybe they were successful during the day, maybe not. Maybe they're going to hunt for us again. But she's just scanning the open area. I think she's watching the elephants entertain themselves at the moment, which are in the marsh. Tom, you're wondering if a lioness has ever chosen to live alone? Most certainly, of course they can. They can live alone whenever they like. Well, we're going to carry on though. It's very, very far away to just stay here. We'll see what else we can find. We'll never be able to get anywhere near her, I'm afraid. So it's actually not that uncommon to see a lioness on her own. Like I said, it can come down to not being enough food within the area. There could be a number of different things that could set a lion off to make her go all on her own. Maybe this road will take us there. This is I don't remember this road, or maybe I do. I don't know if this takes us down to this crossing. Oh, actually, we might get right close to her. I had no idea that this road even existed. We'll just have a quick look. Someone has been wallowing in there. Someone's been having a grand old time. To me, that looks like buffalo. Maybe some buffalo and some warthogs joining them in that wallow. Yes, okay, this road is going to be perfect. Let's see if there's anything else. Still keeping an eye out for those fluff tails. Brent was telling me he did see a red-chested fluff-tail. I can't remember if I told you or not this morning. He messaged me during drive. He said all the way down at, where was it? At the Salt Licks. We were down there today. I see another lion too. I see two lions. Maybe that other girl met up. Perhaps they went hunting warthogs during the day. So these are my two favorite lions. This is, oh yes. No, okay, we did come through here. We came through here this morning and these lions were not here. That's for sure. I don't like this drop. It's not particularly nice. I just want to get a better angle. Sorry everybody, I'm concentrating very hard, as it's quite a steep drop, so I just want to make sure both tires go off at the same time. That's the idea anyway. Hold your breaths. Are we going to roll the car? I don't know. Lions are watching, the pressure's on. Coast Sider, you said don't get stuck. I can't look at any of it because I'm trying very hard to concentrate at the moment. Yeah, he's going to bang the back, sorry. Adrian? Yeah! That's just one of those things that happens, unfortunately, when you drive a car, long wheel-based vehicle. Where's Rusty, Wainby and Jigger when you need them? They would have handled that with such ease. Lions! Hi, girls. So, the one is just in front of me. She's just sitting up in the grass. So, one of them is the one from the forest that I was telling you about, that she was just sitting all on her own earlier this morning. And she obviously met up with her friend. Maybe the other girl was also just laying in the thicket. Like I said, it was quite dense, so it did make it quite tricky to see if there were any other lions around. She doesn't look as full though. I don't see as much of a bulging belly, but also you can see the grass is doing a very good job at covering her up. She doesn't seem to be as panting a little bit. It looks very sleepy in comparison to the other lioness that's sitting up on the mound. I think they have caught something though. I think they've definitely had a nibble. Now that I'm a lot closer, they don't look as fat, or she doesn't look as fat. Perhaps it was just the way that she's sitting. They're not thin though. Now see, Chick, you're wondering if there's white lions in the wild. Well, the naturally occurring white lions are up in the Timbavati, quite close to the Sabi sand, in fact. And then the other white lions that you get throughout South Africa were typically raised at some point, were in captivity, and then whether they had youngsters and they grew up in the wild, who knows, but most of them were introduced. I have seen one white lion before, well, a number of different times. I think it's the Shishangan Pride in Kruger that hangs around the, I don't know what road it is, but between Orpen and, I can't even remember the Kruger National Park anymore. Can you believe it? I've only been up here for 5 months and I've forgotten everything I know about my home. That's traumatizing, actually. Anyways, but further north of Orpen, I've forgotten what gate is just above Satara. There we go. So kind of between Orpen and Satara, there's some gates in Kruger. There's a big pride of lions that you can see that there are some white lions up in that area too. But I've seen them from a distance. I don't think I've ever got any decent pictures. But these are not white lions. Of course, they don't carry that genetic. They are just normal tawny cats. And what are you guys going to get up to? I'm surprised their ears aren't twitching and their tails aren't swatting around, because there's lots of midges about. They've been biting us. Poor Adrian and I have been harassed left, right and centre by horseflies. I killed a tsetse fly, got one of those today. What a nightmare. It took me about 10 attempts before I eventually got it, but I did. It kept trying to bite us. And they bite really sore. So do the horseflies too. They're not nice. And luckily no louse flies flying around, because they creep me out. They're not nice looking animals. But you can't see many of those midges buzzing about. I think they're just harassing us today. I don't know what they're going to do. It's a bit hard to say. They're sort of awake, but I feel like they could also doze off at any moment. I mean, that's a lion's day for you. It's up and down. 1 minute they're sitting listening to rustling of leaves. The next minute then they flop down to their sides and have a 20-minute nap. Now I'm going to say it the way that Megan has just said it in my ear, so I apologize. Cheryl, that's from Megan. You said that's a beautiful lion. It's now a thing. Every time I hear your name, Cheryl, I can't say Cheryl. I have to go Cheryl, like I'm from Santon in Joburg. I'm going to name my children, all of them. They'll all be Cheryls. I'll have a herd of Cheryls one day following me around. Megan says me too. Megan's directing as well. She's from Cape Town. Just thought I'd let you know. Not that it means much to most of you, but for South Africans, you'll know exactly what Megan is like then. And there we go. Just like I said, she, instead of getting up and continuing to look around, I think she only popped her head up to watch me try and get through the crossing, and has now decided that there is no more entertainment and she better use her time more wisely and actually rest. Okay, so we might do the same thing. We might have a little cat nap here. However, Ralph is still with the cheetah. Let's go see if they've showed any more interest in the topi.
Thanks, Taylor. Yep, not just yet. Not particular interest in the topi, but they are just showing interest in general. And they are looking like they are perfectly ready for the hunt. So we're hoping, and we're watching, and we're waiting. And that's what we need to continue doing if we're going to be in some luck. We just keep watching. You see this one here in the front? That's the one that I'm pinning as the leader, but I can't tell you why I think, or any kind of characteristics of it. It just seems I can identify it each time, but I'm going to start looking at little small features on it, and then I'm going to try and identify all these other ones, and just to get them differences from each other. Now, Plantaholic, you're wondering how D'Artagnan became collared and the protocol that is followed. Well, there were 3 young males from different families that were chosen randomly, and that's probably the best way of choosing them. And you just try and choose males because obviously they will then go off and normally get a territory of their own. So it was young males that were decided upon, and 3 of them were collared, and D'Artagnan happened to be one of them. And what would happen then is the state vet, well, I'm talking the real procedures, normally in national parks and reserves, it's normally the state vet that then comes, assists the rangers as they identify the right ones, and then they will dart him and fit the collar on and wake him up as soon as possible, just to get everything through. But when they've got him asleep, they obviously then do all sorts of measurements, and they try to weigh him, and they can even take prints of his feet. They take any unusual characteristics, and they do then note all of that, because it will be in a year or so's time, when that battery starts to get low, that they'll be doing it again. So then they can just monitor how he is at the next time as well. So it's all useful cheetah research information, included with the tracking of his movements. You obviously can get a weight and all sorts of little samples there. They'll probably take a little blood sample as well, and maybe do even a genetic testing in his mouth. So there is a multitude of different tests they could do at that specific point. So he could be assisting in the trying to help or save the cheetah populations in the Masai Mara and further afield, but obviously you start with this relevant area. Remember, with research, it's a lot down to sheer hard work, a gathering of data, and spending as much time with these animals as possible, so that in future that they can relay that information. Right, folks, let me not talk too much about research and data. Let's catch up with these guys, because we don't want to miss anything and arrive and they've already finished what we've been waiting the whole day for. And while we do that and relocate or reposition, let's send you on to Taylor with those lovely big elephants.
So we didn't take a cat nap, we lied. We moved away from the flat cats and let them nap, and now we've got some elephants on the move. Now, that cow, that little calf is trying to suckle, oh, they just look like trouble this afternoon. They've all showed how unhappy they were with me initially. This is going to be fun, as we don't like to mess with elephant cows. And you can see, I think this one cow is heavily pregnant that's standing in front of us, because she's got a bulging belly, her temporal glands are secreting. Please, I come in peace. I come in peace, elephants. I don't want any trouble. I'll even tell you that there's lions 200 meters away that you're probably going to freak out and chase. But I can understand why they are slightly concerned, because that elephant in the middle is quite young. But please don't come marching towards me. Please will you let me stay here, because there's a massive crossing that I have to go through behind, like similar to the one that we just came through, where it took me ages to get through. And I don't feel like trying to play get away from angry elephants. So we'll just see, and then we'll decide what happens. It's okay, big girls. I know, I can see. They're basically just watching me out of the corner of their eye. Or they're sizing me up. And I'm basically laying flat on the floor going, no, I'm sorry, don't hurt me. I'm trying to be as submissive as I can. But I don't know if they're going to accept it, or if they're going to chase me away. You can see she's moving her trunk, the big cow on the left, how she's twisting it and she's smelling us. They're both watching me, in fact. It's okay, big girls. I promise I won't be a bother. The Lego kid, you're wondering if elephants are very aggressive? No, not at all. 90% of the time elephants are very calm creatures. However, occasionally you catch them on the day when they're being a bit of a grump, and I seem to have found this herd who are actually all secreting from their temporal glands. So I don't know if they're stressed, or if maybe they're all stressed because they know this cow is about to give birth, and that could be it. Well, she's being nudged though by the other cow. It's okay, big girls. I promise I will sit here very quietly as long as you guys just keep walking past. And I'll let you do your thing, and I won't follow you. I'm just watching them very, very carefully, of course. You do have to be so careful with the cows. It's okay, big girl. Relax, relax, relax. Relax, I'm just going to sit here. I promise, once you keep going, I'm not going to follow you anymore. Now, I know it sounds crazy that I'm talking to her, but I just feel a lot more comfortable if I do continue talking to the elephants. Now, Philip, you're wondering if the elephants would usually give birth at night. No, I don't think that there's anything, with them giving birth during day or night. It's okay. Now, the third cow in this herd is also not happy with me. I'm sorry, I don't know what I did to upset all of you. Maybe it's the lions that they can smell. So, no, it'll be any time of the day. But thank you for giving me the wide berth, though. I really appreciate that. Well, she can't be too stressed if she's, in a vulnerable position now. Surely not. I think a little calf heard the dung fall and I was racing over towards it. Are you going to eat it? Are you going to show everybody how you like to eat Mom's dung? A little bit. Just a little taste. They're funny animals. Okay, cool. I'm going to move away from these elephants. Philip, did you say you wonder if it was Maurice's herd? Maybe they know Maurice is in the box, and perhaps he's in the dog box. Maybe he's gone on a run around. Listen, I can't be held responsible for what Maurice gets up to at night. Let me tell you that. He's a young man. I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking any of that responsibility. Now, I'm not going to stay with them just because they did show that they were a little bit uneasy with me. So I'm going to let them carry on. I'm not going to follow them anymore. I know they're going towards the lions. But what I don't want to do is be in an area with elephants that have already showed that they're upset with me, and then now that there's lions around, and there's young calves, and there's potentially one that's about ready to give birth. That's just asking for an accident to happen, and we are in the marsh, so it's not easy to escape. So I think we're just going to avoid that situation completely and keep nice and safe. Right, we'll keep searching for other elephants. I'm sure there'll be some friendlier ones around here that wouldn't mind being watched. However, Rolf's cheetah have no problem with the camera.
Yes, and that is very true. But we are looking out across over the plain, and that's one of the potential prey animals that these cheetah are busy watching. But for the time being, once again, they've made us hurry up and wait, because they've now sat down and they are watching from a distance, just from the edge of the thicket, and it's very interesting indeed. You can see that, and they every now and then sit up and act as if they're very eager, very keen. Now, the legreged, you're wondering if cheetah can be aggressive. Well, absolutely, they can be quite aggressive towards each other, and generally in the wild, they're quite scared of humans if you had to approach them on foot. Now, I'm not sure about these 5, because they probably feel a little bit bigger or stronger and more dominant than most cheetah would. So it might be interesting to see humans approaching these cheetah on foot, but my gut feel is that they probably also run away. In the wild, cheetah are very skittish, especially towards humans. And not to say that this isn't the wild. These would be very skittish. I think if one of us had to get out of the vehicle here, they would get quite a fright. And because they're seeing the vehicles, they don't have a problem with that. But with humans on foot, they might do, and they would probably run away. I've never seen cheetah really aggressive towards much, except when they've been hand-reared in captivity, and also the rehabilitated ones that become habituated to humans, and so they are then not scared anymore of humans. And there's been a couple of cases of them being a little bit nasty, but there's not really any real threat to humans, I would say. Not like if you're having a pet lion or leopard, and that's a little bit silly, but it's not like they keep them as pets. It's just that they do have them sometimes around some of the lodges, and so it's quite nice for the guests and everybody to see. It's not that you would be petting them, it's that you could be standing next to one in the lodge, next to the lapa or whatever, So there are some places like that, but it's not. The cheetah do still do some small hunting of their own, and then they subsidize a little bit of their meals, and in such a way they try to also release them back into the wild. But yes, so aggression in cheetah, I'd say it's mostly towards each other. And we did actually see these guys have a little bit of a feud this morning, but it was very quick. There was a little bit of teeth bared and a bit of smacking around the head, but it was over very quickly, and then they just continued on their way, marking. Maybe it was a little bit in terms of them just re-establishing their dominance between each other, because that's obviously going to be very important for this 5, to know who's who within the pecking order of the 5. Because, as I say, you want to know who the leader is and who's second, who's third. You could probably find that once they sit up in line like they've been doing the last few times that they've gotten up and moved, they do sit in a bit of a line, and it might even come down to who's first, second or third, fourth, fifth in that specific line. It did seem to be that D'Artagnan was always hanging off at the back, and then 4 of them very close and tight. Now, Philip, you're wondering if one of them had to get injured, would the others allow him to actually feed from the kill? Philip, to be honest, when you do have injured animals in the wild, and especially predators, you can very often find that they actually distance themselves from the group. It depends on how bad the injury is. If it's a small ligament wound or so in the leg, and maybe they're just not running as fast as the others, then absolutely the rest of the group would allow him to feed from the kill. But if it was something a little bit more serious, like a broken leg or a big gash or something that was affecting it and maybe even life-threatening, you'll find that animal will normally separate itself from the group, because he knows that if he hangs around, he can actually get killed by them. Because it is very instinctive of them to see that when there is a very big injury, they can often actually go in for the kill. And I think that's in a way nature's way of stopping pain and extended injuries with any of the wild predators. And so you can even see that with domestic dogs. When one is injured, you do need to keep him away from the rest, because the others can attack him and maybe even kill him. Right, folks, we're still going to just stay here, and hopefully we're going to see some action quite soon. But while we do that and keep on watching and waiting, let's send you on over to Taylor with some elephants once again.
We've got them. We've got much happier elephants this time, ones that are not upset with our presence, which is nice, so we'll spend some time with them. What we do have, though, is let's see if this little one, this youngster, is going to come up to the car. Hello. You're feeding towards us. Maybe we'll get some entertainment this afternoon. I'm not banking on it just yet. I kind of miss my friend, though, my young female friend that I met the other day on a very sludgy road, that decided to play games with me and spray mud on me and throw bits of grass and all sorts of things like that. I do enjoy the way the young females interact around the car. And this looks like a young girl, around a similar age. Let's see. Hello. Hello, elephant. You're going to come right up to us. Now you can see complete different behavior. What we were seeing with that other lot, how they kept turning their trunk towards us. This elephant is paying us absolutely no attention. Sorry, I'm just watching her. So my head keeps popping into frame every now and then. Thank you, lovely ladies. This is much better. Now I know. I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe it was the way that I was driving on the rocks and my tires were slipping. Perhaps the sound upset those other elephants, and then they just didn't want to trust me. But you lot can see that I'm not dodgy. I'm just here to say hello and to show you to the rest of the world. Hello. I don't know if she's the same girl. Very inquisitive around the vehicles, though. Look, she's coming right up. Hello, girl. Now, Raphael, you're wondering if the Mara elephants are bigger than the Djuma ones. I'm going to say yes, and particularly the females are quite big. She's grazing right up to the car. If I had to stick my arm out and she had to stick her trunk out, we'd fist pump. Or trunk pump. I don't know what you would call it. But that, again, has got to do with all the lovely, lush vegetation that's around here. It does allow for the animals to get slightly bigger. Hello, girl. You can't come too close, I'm afraid. I don't know you from a bar of soap. Don't just approach a person like that. You say, hello, how are you doing? There she goes. That was so cool. That was such a nice interaction. Now, there's lots of little ones that are playing around now as well. They'll grow into big, strong elephants eventually. Let's see if this curious one is going to come all the way up to us and be as brave as that other one. Oh, we've been spotted. You see the ears going out. It's got a little stump. It's missing its tail. Now, I want to turn the car slightly, but I also don't want to frighten that little elephant. But let's try it anyway. Don't be scared. I'm going to start the car now. All I'm going to do is this. I hope there's no mud wallow behind me. Now, look at the little elephant's tail. Look at its stump. It's bleeding. Oh no! And you can see that wound is still a little bit rare. So maybe that didn't happen too long ago. But it would take some time to heal though. So even though there is a bit of red flesh, they'll probably find that that wound's a few weeks old and it's just taking its time. As most of it seems to have healed. Luckily their tails do heal fairly quickly. Well, actually elephants are pretty good when it comes to healing. They don't seem to take too long. All the animals out here are so resilient, though. They're very impressive. How they can just bounce back from near death. Whereas you and I would have to be pampered in a hospital to survive certain things. Let's try to have a quick scan. Sorry, a couple of things catching my eye. Do they need to catch my eye? No. Thought maybe some more lions. There's a nice herd of eddies. They're all just moving through. Here comes another one that's also missing the end of its tail. We've been seeing that a lot now with a lot of these young elephants. Must be crocodiles. I'm trying to think, because they go through the Mara River every single day and feeding. You can see the water line on that one, so we know that it's come from the other side of the river. And the only thing that I could think that would be harming these little elephants is maybe the crocodiles. Of course, it could always be lions and hyenas. However, I don't know if they're as brave. I mean, a crocodile can quite easily sneak through the water, underwater, between those elephants' feet. And like I said, they don't discriminate when it comes to food. They eat anything and everything. Even a little elephant. They might take the opportunity. Sorry guys, you guys are... But at least you didn't lose a leg or an ear. Just a little bit of your tail. You haven't got the greatest fly swatter now. But maybe you can learn to break a branch off like we do and then just use that and swat yourself. And they do kind of do that to an extent as well. Off they go. Right. Now, Joy, you're wondering, how would that little elephant be affected by not having its tail? It will be alright. It'll survive. It's not a life-threatening injury. The only thing that's going to be a bit annoying is, of course, the fact that it's not going to be able to swat very well. That's why I was saying it should pick up a branch. And sometimes they do that when they pull long pieces of grass up. You'll see them throw it over their heads, around their bodies, whip it around their bodies, just using it as an additional fly swatter. So it's not going to be affected. It will be able to carry on with life normally. I suppose it would be like the equivalent of maybe me losing my small finger, my pinky finger. It's going to be sore and painful and a bit of a nuisance, but I'm still going to be able to carry on with my life and not have to worry about it being, you know, disabled to an extent that I wouldn't be able to walk or drive a car. That elephant is still going to be able to eat, and that's the most important thing. As long as you can still eat and you can still drink water and keep up with the herd, you're normally fine. So that area will be okay. We see it's quite a common injury here in the Mara. And that's why I think, because I'm like, oh, the Sabi sand, we don't really see that too often. So the only thing that Mara has a lot more of is crocodiles. And the only crocodiles we kind of see at Chitwa Dam, and then down in the sand in the Sabi River you do too. Well, we'll say a very quick hello to this buffalo because you're so close. Good day, sir. You have got lovely horns. No, not brave enough to keep staring at me. I was having a staring competition. I won. Ha ha ha. And well, speaking of winning, as this buffalo goes to lick his wounds for losing the stare off, let's go back to Rolf and see if his cheetah are still on the go.
Yes, and what a beautiful sight this is, with them all sitting up and looking out over the plains. And there you can see the collar nicely on D'Artagnan. And it's quite well weighted. One pack the same size as the bottom, the top and bottom, so it's very well counterbalanced. But that was nice to see them all sitting up. And look at those muscles showing in the front quarters. It's absolutely huge. And very nice to see also the very clear characteristics of cheetah, with that very defined tear mark on their face, which you don't get with leopards. And cheetahs are the ones with spots, and leopards with rosettes. And then obviously cheetah a little bit taller and longer than leopards, but leopards quite a bit heavier than cheetah. So just so that you know the difference there between the two. And lovely to see that. Very much hunters by sight, so they've got excellent eyesight, and they'll be able to see the movement nicely on the other side. Remember that they do see a little bit duller than humans do, and the spectrum is pretty much from violet to yellow. So not all the colors that humans see, the cats can see, and they also see things a little bit duller, but then they hunt mostly by movement, not particularly using that color in any way. It's movement and size and body language, and it's more useful to them than any particular colors. So that's probably why there's not been a great emphasis. Donna, you're wondering if cheetah have a shorter life expectancy than lions. Donna, it's actually quite similar. Generally, cheetah sort of average between 16 and 20 years, and that's both male and female. Males generally also have a little bit of a tougher time, but in a nice coalition like this, they might reach ripe old ages. But it's normally the females that last up until those 20-odd years. They won't go much older than that. That's quite old. But for the female lions, it's quite similar as well. But the males can live sometimes only half of that. And because they live a very risky life, and they do go through many battles and fighting for territory with other males, so that's their biggest problem. Is actually other males and obviously humans, but in the natural areas it is down to other males that threaten them, and that's what lands up with them not living a very long life in comparison to the female. They're normally about 12 or 14 years, whereas the female can live up to about 20 years. That's in the wild. Obviously in captivity they can live quite a lot longer. Now, CNAC, you're wondering, when cheetahs mark their territory, what does it smell like? Sorry about the vehicle there once again. CNAC, it's quite a urine-y smell. I'm not sure if you know what I mean, but it's a little bit different to the leopard that smells almost like popcorn, so it's a little bit of a more pleasant smell than I would say with cheetah, but it's not very pungent. And because I know this, because I've smelt it many times just walking, but I've also spent time with researchers who've had to actually collect the urine of a couple of cheetah that we were following. So every time they sprayed, we had to run up behind them as soon as they were gone and collected the little droplets in this tiny little test tube type vials, and then they were sealed and then sent off to the laboratory for testing and just to check all the hormones, etc., in the males' bodies, because it was two young males that we were following that had been released, and I was assisting the researchers walk through Big Five country, and so they were conducting their research and I was basically their bodyguard. So it was quite interesting for me to see the kind of research that they were doing, and that was very interesting as well, where once we witnessed them urinating, we just had to wait for them just to move off enough that we could run in and get this little test tubes filled with the urine. Lovely once again to be in the presence of these guys, folks. I do need to reposition once more because these vehicles are moving around, as well as us being quite far behind them now. So let's head up again and do the old leapfrog. This is the game we play. Okay, folks, so while we're repositioning and just trying to get into a lovely position so that we can all see them coming towards us and maybe even taking down some prey, who knows. But while we drive off and do that, let's send you on over to Taylor, who I think is also driving.
Bumbling. Our elephants left us, as you saw, but we've arrived at our next animal this afternoon. I feel like we're checking off quite a few different species today, which is nice. And sometimes you don't get to see much variety, but we've had plenty of variety. Yay! Look, 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 look. It's a zebra with a lilac-breasted roller on its back, one of my favorite things to see. And a cloud of dust. Hello, lilac-breasted roller, who looks like it's been through the wash a few times, but so does that zebra, don't you think? It's still young, though, so it's a little bit on the fluffy side. And there's Mom, just walking past. Mom, looks like, oh, is that Mom or is that Dad? Here's my binoculars. Can't even see now. I might be talking absolute hogwash, which I do often. No, it is Mom. You can see there's a belly forming. And this zebra looks like it's getting to about 2 years old. This one with the lilac-breasted roller on its back. So that would mean that, well, that's about right, isn't it? Because the horse's gestation period is just about a year, just under a year. And it's the same thing for a zebra. So they'll typically give birth once a year. Now, it's actually not something that we get to see all the time, the lilac-breasted rollers making use of various animals. They sit on impala, they sit on buffalo, they like to sit on zebra. I actually see them more on zebra than anything. And it's quite cool to watch them. As, they just sit there and the animals do all the work and move around. Again, not like the oxpecker that's actually feeding on the parasites on the zebra. They're waiting for the insects. Now, Monique from London, you say, what a cool picture. I think so, too. I think that's quite fantastic. Now, I'm trying to think. Their feet are not designed, for instance, like oxpeckers. Oxpeckers are like these clingers. They're able to grip onto the sides of the animals. They wouldn't be able to move around very much. They'd kind of have to just stick to the flat surface and perch on top of one. Oh, you know, that one's going too slowly, so I'll just hop onto the next one, which is on the right-hand side. Let's see. Will you be able to stay on if they start bucking? Probably not. It will probably get bucked off, but luckily for that lilac-breasted roller, it can fly. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Eye level with a zebra. And very relaxed. Looking a bit drab, though, don't you think? There's a little bit of a feather that needs to be pulled out on top of its head. Hasn't got the most amazing plumage, but it is also dull and gloomy out here today, so it's not helping with the feathers. So you can see there, look how it's sitting. It's not holding on to anything really. It's just sort of balancing like it would if it was on the floor. And it's very cool to see. The only thing, though, is of course having a bird on your back like that is you may get defecated on, but we know that being defecated on by a bird is good luck. So there we go, zebra. It's not anything to worry about. And maybe if you're lucky, it defecates on the white parts and then it kind of just blends in. No one will notice. No other zebra will laugh at you. What is it doing, though? The way it's almost resting on its tail. Look at that. Now, that's something we don't see them... You see, it looks like it's actually putting quite a bit of weight on its tail. So maybe it's a mechanism for staying on zebras while they move around, is to distribute your weight a little bit better. Kind of like when you go down a steep incline on a horse and you're riding them, you know that you mustn't lean forward. You should try and lean back and put your heels down as much as you can, so you can help distribute your weight a little bit better. I wonder if it's the same thing, because then you also stay on much easier. Whoop, slowly now. You can see not very good at balancing, I'm afraid. Pretty good at landing, though. It's got the landing waxed. A little bit of something else to work on there, though. Practice makes perfect. I never get tired of seeing birds sitting on the animals. I also love it when the oxpeckers, of course, sit on the buffalo. That is so funny. And off it goes. Just having a grand old day. Now, the Lego kid, you're wondering if zebras are ever mean to people. I only know mean zebras, unfortunately. From the youngsters that my friends have tried to raise, they are nasty creatures. They're just like ponies with an attitude 10 times worse, however. So they bite, they kick. They're very difficult to domesticate. So I would never ever try after experiencing it when I was quite young. I've now seen so many different zebras try and become habituated to humans, and it just doesn't work. It really, really doesn't work very well, in my opinion. So they're supposed to be the horses in pajamas that live out in the wild, and then we can just have our normal horses. They've got very sharp teeth, and their hooves, as you can imagine, hurts very much when one connects with your leg. I can just talk from experience, and I was being kicked by horses that were well over 16 hands. I reckon a zebra is probably pony height. So I would say between about 14 to maybe and 15 hands, I would say, is about the size of a zebra. So not big. Not big at all. But beautiful creatures. Okay, let's carry on. It's starting to drizzle here. I don't want to get wet. It's a cloud that's above us, which is not too good. So should we just move out the way? Bye, lilac-breasted roller. Pretty impressive. Okay. So I see some cars gathering in the distance. I suspect it'll be the marsh breakaways that we saw this morning, so we'll go investigate around there. Ralph is also doing a bit of driving. I'm not sure how fast he's having to go, but apparently his cheetah are up ahead of him. Oh my goodness. Pesky gremlins. Sorry about that, everybody. I don't think Ralph had any comms. Sometimes those patches where those cheetahs go, especially along the luggers, can be a little bit on the tricky side. So we're just going to race a little bit away to try and get out from underneath this cloud. It's not anything bad, it's spitting at the moment, but the amount of times that a cloud has just started very gently dropping raindrops, then to all of a sudden torrential downpour is too many times, so I'm refusing to get caught out. It's quite funny when that happens, actually. You can't help but laugh. You just don't realize how the weather changes. And I would like to have a big storm to see if having a big storm would eventually relieve some of this mist, this haze, this stuff that is lingering in the air that none of us have any idea what it is. I heard a story. Brent will be happy about this. Maybe Brent can check. I actually tried to look on some maps, but I'm not really good when it comes to technology. But somebody said, not Brent though, someone else said that it might be smoke from South Sudan blowing in, or from a big fire or something. But we can't smell anything. You can't smell burning down here. But we'll see. Maybe they were standing up on a cliff and they could smell it a bit better. I don't know. But there's another theory. We'll have to see if that is true. Or surely you would be able to see smoke like that from a satellite if it's traveled such a far distance and been lingering for such a long time to again. Apparently it's still like this in the Salas sort of area, so down on the southwestern corner-ish of the Masai Mara. Ralph, however, has got communication back with Final Control again, and I'm sure you can't wait to see the Fast Five. So without further ado, back you go to Ralph.
Okay, folks, look at this. We've been able to come around the other side of them, and now we've got them coming slightly towards us, which is great. And now we just hope there's a couple of buffalo that are down from them, and I think that is a little bit past them. So I don't think we'll be watching these five hunting buffalo this afternoon. As they just saunter through. They're not really worried about these cheetah. I think they know that they're way too big for them, a little bit out of their league. But all the same, it's still nice to watch these cheetah walk through, mark their territory, and possibly be on the lookout for a hunt. The crowned lapwings have been making a nuisance of themselves a little bit, making quite a bit of noise, alarm calling and dive bombing them a little bit. But now they've moved off, so they're not giving them away anymore. We've got 2 up and 3 down. As long as one of their heads is up, we always know that there can be some action. And it was quite like that when we were watching them sleeping this afternoon. There was always one of their heads up and alert. So no matter that the rest was sleeping, one of them was always checking out. And so it was really fascinating. Lovely to be in so many cheetahs' company. I've only been in that same position when I've been in rehabilitation centres or in these sort of cheetah hospitals, and what that they call them. But in Namibia, I've been in a few. As I say, in South Africa, there are some wonderful cheetah organisations, AfriCat and of the likes. But for now, once again, they're playing us, aren't they? They're sitting down. They're watching and waiting and watching, and we just hope that something is going to be unaware somewhere here on the plains, because these guys are ready for it. And it's still quite cool with a little bit of a haze. It's quite weird weather actually. It's rather overcast, but at least it's been keeping us cool. We haven't got very sunburnt today. And that's one of the bonuses, and also that it does allow for the predators to be a little bit more active, as we've been saying on numerous occasions. But you can see the haziness that I'm talking about there. We can't really see very far through it, and it's almost like low cloud. It's not smoke, it's not mist, it's not fog. It's almost like just a cloudy haze, because it's not a heat haze either. So it's really weird. But nonetheless, a little bit of cloud cover, that keeps it nice and cool. And we're wondering what these cheetah are making their eyes on. That's great to see that they are still... I wonder in the evenings, because this was the exact same area that I found them when we were here just over a week ago. So I'm trying to see now. It looks like this is their perfect territory, the circular route that they've done from this morning. They're almost heading back to where they started. So they've pretty much marked their territory in the space of a 24-hour period. If indeed it is their full territory, it might be a little bit bigger than that, but I think there are some other cheetah in the area, so they won't be able to just go wherever they like. Although it is a 5-male coalition, there will still be a little bit of pushback from other cheetah, that they won't be able to just go wherever they want. But I think they've got quite a bit of leverage, however, with them being quite a large group. So that's wonderful. All right, everybody, while we sit here with these cheetah and hope for the best, once more we're going to be sending you all the way on down south to South Africa, where we've got the other half of our sunset safari, and I think James Henry would like to say hello.
Djuma side of the game drive. I'm not sure what's going on with the comms today. I think we're live now. My name is James Henry. Good. David is on camera, and we'd love to hear from you during the course of this drive. #SafariLive, or you can use the chat stream on YouTube. Okay, the reason I'm talking like this, over here we have got a drag mark. Now what that means is that something has been dragged along the ground here. Now I'd love to tell you that I had just come across this and found it, but what Herbert did was he came in, he went walking. Herbert is our game scout, our find tracker. He came walking earlier today, he found this drag mark, and he found a leopard eating a small impala at the end of the drag mark. So we're now going to go in there and see if we can get a view. Okay, are you ready? Louise, are we doing an action broadcast, or are we going? Oh, we are, here we go. Do you want to go in front? Okay, hello everybody, welcome to this magnificent area, the Greater Kruger National Park. We're on the trail of a leopardess who has got an impala kill. Herbert up front there found her earlier today, and now we're going to go and see if we can find her and have a look. She killed a small impala, we don't know who she is. My name is James Henry. You can ask us any questions you like as we go and try and see if we can see this leopard. We're going to move slowly, we're going to talk quietly, and hopefully we'll get a view. And then what we're going to do is bring a vehicle in if we can establish the sighting, and then you can have a proper look at her. But to have the chance to see this Prince of Cats on foot is an unspeakable honor. And so that's what we're going to try and do. Just bear with us a little bit. We're just trying to figure out what's going on exactly. We want to be as quiet as possible. They do have excellent hearing, excellent smell, excellent sight, and they are, of course, extremely fast and very well hidden. Now, we're not doing this to try and sort of get some sort of cheap thrill out of it. We're doing it so that we can establish the sighting properly for a vehicle to come in. We are off-road, we're nowhere near a road here. And so what we need to do is just figure out where she is, and then we can bring a car in. So the view probably won't be spectacular from on foot, but the sheer thrill . There's a squirrel alarm calling, going. Let me see her. Okay, we can't see her yet. We're just going to stay close together for now. We don't want to be too far from Herbert, because if she sees Herbert first and gets a fright, she'll move off quickly, and then we won't have a sighting. So we've got squirrels calling over there. They've got very, very good eyes, squirrels. Come, Dave. Dave, come. We just want to stay as a close group. If I do go silent, it's just because we need to try and be as quiet as possible. Squirrels are nasty alarm callers because they really can see for miles. They'll also shout at anything. It's possible she's gone to fetch, if it's who we think it is, a leopard called Thandi. It's possible she's gone to fetch the cub, in which case she won't be here. In which case we'll just keep looking. So Romit, you were wondering which leopard it is. We think it's Thandi, but we don't know. She killed an impala not too far from here and dragged it down. she's in here somewhere, we think. That's where the squirrels are alarming. And so we're just going to walk very gently, very slowly around this area, all the while cognizant of the fact that if a leopard doesn't want to be seen, she won't be seen. And to be able to sneak up onto a leopard, of course, is very difficult, especially with 3 people. Hello, Emma. You say this is exciting and stressful at the same time. Yeah, it is. It's exactly right. But it's not... I keep saying this when we do these on-foot segments. What it does... I'm just going to check the wind. What it does is just cracks open our disconnection from the wilderness. It gives us a real connection to something much wilder than we are. And in my opinion, a sort of sense of magic we wouldn't normally get. Priscilla, you want to know how much of the impala had been eaten? I don't know. Herbert doesn't know either. He just had a very brief glimpse. There's the squirrel. There's the squirrel. I don't want to give her a fright, you know, to blunder into this bush and just step on her. Yeah, Brianna, there's an edge to it. I do feel a certain sense of fear. But I'm with a hugely experienced tracker. I've been around this area for some time. But yes, there's always an edge, and that's good. You must never be complacent out here. Complacency is your worst enemy. Come stand. She was eating here. Come look here, Dave. You can see where the ground has been disturbed there. That's where she was sitting. Now when we came into this area, we heard some birds alarming up the drainage system here, up this dry stream. She may have gone there. She may have finished this kill. And the squirrel, she was right here. She was right here. Just here, underneath this bush. Okay. Herbert thinks that she has heard us coming and that she's now avoiding us, so she's probably moved her kill away. What do you think, Herb? Shall we... She's somewhere in here, trying to avoid us. Now, what we don't want to do... Hang on a second. What we do not want to do... There she is. No, it's not her. What we don't want to do is go blundering into this thick bush, because we could get ourselves into trouble. Maybe should we try and go around? What do you think? Okay, we can see where she was lying there. Can you see the grass where it's lying down here? She's been feeding here. Let's go this way. Very slowly. Very quietly. The trick here is to just make sure that you're not behaving too much like a predator. because if she thinks she's being stalked, well, that's not ideal. Yeah, Elizabeth, it's interesting. You say, couldn't she have gone up the tree with a kill? She could have, as we look above our heads, instinctually. But the thing with a leopard is, a leopard sees a human being as a primate, and they think we can climb. And so if you find a leopard and it's in a tree, the first thing it'll do is jump out the tree and run away. It's completely unlike its behavior if it sees a lion or a hyena. Well done, David. You're doing a sterling job. And so they see us, obviously in the same way that they see a baboon, but much more threatening, and they think we can climb. What's more astounding is that they think we'd want to climb up and try and chase them. All the time you've got to maintain concentration, just making sure that you are aware she could have moved anywhere. There could also be an elephant lurking in here somewhere. She may well have dragged the prey away. Herbert's just looking on the ground here. At what looks like another drag mark. Let's stay close by. Of course, we've got to try and avoid standing on logs and sticks, and poor old David is walking behind me with a huge backpack on and his camera, which means, unlike me, he's not able to look at the ground. I think come this side of me, Darby, in case she comes bucketing out there. So the atmosphere now is starting to lift slightly, because we haven't found her in there. But where is she? She's around here somewhere. Did we disturb her, maybe? Well, possible. Did she move off before this afternoon? Equally possible. So now we'll go back towards the road and we'll check if there's some tracks. There's a Franklin walking in there. That's a bird, which tells me that I think she's probably moved a little bit. I thought we were going to see her there. Give us a few minutes. Let's just see if we can't establish some kind of a direction, at least. Heavy, what do you think? What do you think? You think she's in here? You don't think she's gone up the drainage? She's in here. Okay, we still think she's in here. Alright, well, we're going to keep on looking. For those of you watching on social media, thank you very much. Keep watching your notifications. If we do get lucky, we'll come back and see you then. If you want to carry on watching, you can just Google Safari Live and you'll find one of our streams that works best for you. Thank you for joining us. Till later. Bye-bye. Don't think so. We'll bring Tristan in. Do you want to give me the radio? Or do you want to tell him? Well, hang on. It's not on there. It's all of our normal viewers, yes. Okay. Alright, everybody, we're going to call Tristan in now to come and do a little bit of a drive around here. If he's very lucky, then he'll find her. We're going to keep checking. While we do that, let us go back up to the Masa Mara, where Taylor McHurdy is sitting with some leons.
We've got the leons, James. Hope you don't stumble across Thandi while she's on a kill. Ooh, no, if anybody's going to be okay, I know that James most certainly will, under the watchful eye of Herbie. Herbie has to keep James in check. Now, we're sitting with the marsh breakaways. We found them. Wasn't too difficult. And their little cubs. They're all around. They're running back and forth. But I do have some sad news, as that one of the young cubs, who we should see just now, is injured, which is not good. It's got a serious limp, but I think it will be okay. Most of the time they are. I don't know if it was maybe playing too rough. I don't know if it maybe got swiped at while they were feasting on a carcass of sorts. A number of different things could happen, but it is getting left behind. But the adults sit and wait for it. I think it's actually gone down into that lugger now where the rest of the little ones are. I think they're playing. But it should be fine. Now, I don't know where they've gone. Well, we won't be able to see them, sorry, is what I was trying to say, is that they've actually ducked into a spot now where we're not going to be able to view them. Now, Donna, you're wondering if many lions in the Mara climb into the trees. Of course they do. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen lots of photos of the lions of the Mara in trees, and lions climb trees more regularly than you think. They often try and do it to get decent shade, to get away from the biting insects. Sometimes they climb up there to steal leopard kills. And it's not the problem going up. They're fine. They're very powerful in their shoulders. But the problem really comes in when they are trying to come down the tree, of course. Right. Well, we'll hang around for a little bit. But it seems as though Steve down in the Sabi sand has managed to find a bee-eater, and I hope that it is still there after this 10-second delay.
Good afternoon, and a very, very warm welcome to you here once again with us in Djuma Private Nature Reserve. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and I'm joined on camera by VM, the wildebeest. I'm not sure if you got that. He is still there. Can you get him for us quickly, VM? Beautiful bird, folks. It's the first time I've managed to get one on the camera. And that is the European bee-eater. Comes all the way from Europe, as the name suggests. And it does not breed here. It is a very beautiful bird. Great way to start our show, but we've been waiting to talk with you, but James Hendry has been having so much fun. What a way to start the afternoon here with some serious excitement, even though nothing has been found yet. How exciting must that have been for them on foot? I know the feeling, the heart starts to race, the pulse is really, you can actually feel it in your ear. You're not sure if you can hear a leopard or if you can hear your heart racing in your ear. But wonderful way to start. Hopefully those guys come right that side and are able to find the beautiful Thandi. I'm not sure how James is aware that it's Thandi, but he's been here quite a while, and these things, I suppose, come second nature to them. But this afternoon, folks, we've come down towards the Twin Dams area. There was this morning visual of Shadow, her cub, and Hosanna sort of south of our boundary. So we've sort of come into this area to see if we can find any signs of them. Maybe they've crossed north. It's been quite a cool, overcast day. Perfect conditions for animals to be moving. But while we've been waiting for you to come and join us, we've also just been missioning. We haven't found any signs in the road, but we're going to continue on. And please feel free to send your questions through at Safari Live or on the YouTube feed. We'd love
love to get back to you. And while we talk about that, and we have the European bee eaters, I thought maybe I'd quickly play the call for you, because it is quite a characteristic call. Like a referee's whistle in a football game, if you've ever played. And while we continue, before I jump across, I believe some of the viewers have noticed I have not been calling James by his correct name. I've been leaving out the D, and that is just a small mistake on my part, nothing intentional. So while we carry on searching, I'm going to be sending you across to Mr. Hendry and see what he has found that side, or what he is looking for.
Okay, there she is, everybody. We were standing pretty close to her. She popped her head up out of the grass and was spotted by a guest on Taxon's vehicle. His name is Joseph. Thank you, Joseph. Well done. So there's the leopard. Tristan is also here now. We're now going to bring Tristan in, and you can enjoy Thandi from a vehicle. We are going to extract and find something else. Yeah, there we are. There's Tristan. He's coming in now. Thank you, Joseph. As you were. Yeah. Very sad, actually. Yes, we are having fun. We couldn't find her, and then the vehicle came past, and I'm going to say that she popped her head out because she heard the vehicle.
Yes.
Yes. And that's why the vehicle saw her.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Okay, we're going to hand you onto this car now. And then you're going to go in and have a look at the leopard. Enjoy. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Well, how exciting is that James managed to track down the leopard, and well, of course, another vehicle obviously spotted it, but it doesn't matter. They were in the right area, and Herbie has done a fantastic effort to be able to find her here. So let's hope that she's not in a bit of a grumpy mood, as she can sometimes be if she sees people on foot. Seems as though she's behaving so far, so all is good. But exciting stuff, and it's what we were hoping for. We were hoping for a gap with Thandi in terms of that we wanted to find her wherever she may be, and particularly if she's got a kill, because hopefully she can then lead us towards where this den might be and where she's keeping the little cub. And who knows if the cub is actually here at the moment, or if it's just her by herself, and we'll just have to wait and see. I think that maybe the cub is not far off, is in a drainage line not too far from here, and so that's what I'm hoping, at least. Whether or not that's the case, well, we'll soon find out. Seb, is that alright for you for now? You can see our Bushwalk Intrepid team moving off in the background there. In fact, I think they're going to disappear out of view very quickly. And then Thandi is still sitting underneath the tree. So we've given her a little bit of space, and it's probably the best thing to do. After she's seen people on foot, it's always better just to give her a bit of room and let her calm down. Most definitely, Thandi, you can see the bars across her top left eye. So for those of you that don't know who Thandi is, she's an 11-year-old leopardess that has now become the sort of dominant female in this area since the disappearance of her mother at the beginning of last year. And so she's now moved in. She does have a cub at the moment who is about 3 months old. And so she is very easy to tell, because if you look over her left eye there, you see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 almost bar-like structures that go over, and almost looks like a big eyebrow that she's got on her left eye. And that's very different to her sister, Shadow, who who lacks those markings. So you heard Steve earlier referring to Shadow, and that's exactly what... Now, that is normal for Thandi. She is going to be a bit of a handful. I told you if she sees people on foot that she can sometimes be a handful, and that is exactly what's just happened. So she doesn't really like when trackers sit on the front of the car. This has been a theme that's run throughout her life, and she's always been like this since the beginning. Whenever there's a tracker on the front and she's been walked into prior to that, she gets a little upset with the trackers on the front of the car. So she'll calm down, though. It's just important that we give her a bit of space. Now, I was very, very bad. I didn't even introduce myself or who I've got on camera. So you saw that James showed us, and so it's better that I say hello to you all now. My name's Tristan, and on camera today I've got Sebastian, who I'm sure is very happy to see a leopard. Seb, are you happy to see a leopard?
Very happy.
There we go. And hopefully we will find the cub, because Seb hasn't seen the cub yet. So we're going to try and see if we can find this little cub and see where it goes. But there goes Thandi. You can see she's walking around. I'm going to give her space. I'm not going to move too much. She's evidently not very impressed with all of us. Look how she's slinking. You can see she doesn't really want to be spotted right now. She's trying to get away because she doesn't want she's had this attention from people on foot, which she doesn't like, and then now obviously 2 vehicles, and so she's trying to just slink her way into a thicket, and so we're going to let her just give her a bit of space and breathe a little bit, and then we're going to try and reposition ourselves that we can see her. But it's an exciting start to the afternoon, that's for sure, and hopefully she'll behave herself for the remainder of the afternoon. But I'm just going to go back towards the road and then around, because there's a nice little road that goes down there that won't require me bashing through trees too much. And so, talking about trees, while I try and relocate on Thandi, let's go across to Steve, who has got something in a tree, but I have no idea what it is.